Hey YouTubers, thought I would catch you up a bit on what's going on. I realize I haven't been producing as much content as regularly as before, and by regularly I mean every 2 or 3 weeks. Seems like it's been forever now since I've put something up. I thought I would catch you guys up on what's going on. I'm looking at my list down here. First off, my job hunt continues. I got a lot of irons in the fire, I guess you would say. But nothing solid hooked up just yet, which is great because I'm actually enjoying my extended vacation, let's call it. So no problems there. I'm having a good time and getting into more hobbies, which I'll get into in a moment. So I did get out to shoot some landscape a few days ago with my 4x5, one of them, the Chamonix I took this time. I got up to Red Rocks. I got outside of Morrison and took a couple of shots. I got video of the latter part, not the Red Rocks part. It was way too windy and cold, and I was already miserable and making mistakes because I was cold and yada yada. I don't even know if I want to go into it. It was painful. Hopefully the shot is good. It's nothing all that creative, but it'll be a cool shot. It'll have a lot of detail and stuff in it if it comes out. So, but then another set of shots I took up beyond Morrison, those have potential, except I made a really, really, really stupid exposure error. And it's all on video. It's all a matter of record now. And I just have to decide whether I did such a stupid monologue while making my exposure mistake that I can't really produce the video or not. I guess if you ever see a video of me shooting a windmill, not a windmill, geez, a mill, then you know, upcoming in the next couple of months, you'll know that's the one where I messed up the exposure, and I will have done whatever adjustments are necessary. I basically way overexposed, and I'm trying to decide whether to underdevelop to make up for that. The problem with that is it was really dull light. So when you overexpose and underdevelop, you end up with a pretty flat negative, which is, you know, generally okay. It's easy to scan. It's easy to process digitally, but this would be an extreme. So anyway, you know, I'm going to develop the film. We'll see how it works out. I'm just puzzling on how to approach it at this point. So what else? I got accepted into a local photo exhibition, which is pretty exciting. This is the Littleton Eye of the Camera exhibition. I've been meaning to get into it for years, and I keep forgetting. I get involved in other stuff or whatever, and this year I was like, I have no excuse. I'm not doing anything. So I got entered, and what I entered was actually 3 images. I'll show, I'm sorry, these are prints, so they're not going to show all that nicely, but those of you that follow me closely will recognize these from my Kentucky trip to the John Holder Trail. I submitted 3, and these are the 2 that made it in. These are proofs from 16 by 20 prints that I ended up making for the exhibition. So that's the first one, and that's the second one. And the full-size prints look really nice. They're being framed as I speak. Well, not exactly as I speak, but they'll be framed here in the next little while. Getting into that thing was a little nerve-wracking. I've never been in a photo exhibition before, so you know, they have you enter. You have to do it sort of online and upload your photos and all that, and then they take, I think, a week, maybe 10 days to decide who's in. And then once they've decided, I think I had 3 weeks to get my prints made and framed, and that seems like a lot of time, but when you're as picky as I am about everything and I can't print that format, I have to give it to somebody else, and then I've got to go around and around. I ask them to make scans to see if their scans are better than mine, then I process their scans, and, you know, went back to mine and eyeballed them side by side and all that crap, and ended up choosing my scans over there, surprisingly, because they have a better scanner than me. And then we had to go through a couple of rounds of proofs on the prints. Anyway, excited about that. I should be able to show the framed prints in a video if people are interested. So those will be for sale at the exhibition. I priced them pretty high. I don't really care about making money from my photography, but if somebody wants to pay, I want to make enough money to make up for all the costs. This is not a cheap process, having large prints made and then framed, because the frames are large if you have large prints. So, you know, if I sell one, which I don't think either of them are going to sell, but if I sell one, I'll recoup a good chunk of the money I spent to get into this thing. Okay, enough about that. But a segue, I made those photos with this camera. This is an Arca Swiss F-Line Basic. This is an excellent camera, and I really enjoyed using it. I carried this thing out to Kentucky in a backpack and hiked the John Holder Trail and got those photos with this camera. I sold the camera recently, well, actually today or last night, on eBay. And so I want to throw a shout out to the Wilkins family of Washington, D.C. They're getting this camera. They got a pretty cool dad who decided to buy them this camera to learn photography deeply. And you're going to learn a lot about photography with this camera. Believe me, it doesn't do anything for you. You have to do everything. So there's a lot to learn, but it's a great learning tool. It's a really excellent camera, and I'm sure they're going to enjoy it. Along those lines, you know, I sell stuff on eBay every once in a while, and I kind of have a personal philosophy of not advertising that stuff here on my YouTube channel. I'll talk about it in the eBay ad. If I've done a video on the camera or whatever it is I'm selling, then I'll mention that in my eBay ad. And I think that's an advantage for me, because I can say, oh, it's that guy. You know, if you trust me from my videos, maybe you'll trust buying a piece of equipment from me. I just don't want to make this channel like, hey, I'm selling this thing, go buy it. You know, it seems, I don't know, kind of, I don't know how to put it. It just doesn't seem cool. Be interested in comments on that. If you guys want to know if I'm selling something, then I'll put it up here, and it'll probably bother some people. And then the ones that want it will be happy. I don't know. You can never please everybody. So let me know what you think about that. That's just my personal thing. I don't want to make it into a Mike selling stuff kind of channel. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the camera. I'm sure you will. Okay, so moving on. You may have noticed some weird looking switchboard or whatever in the background, the earlier part of this video. Yeah, I have a new hobby, and I don't know why I did this. It's the way I am. Those of you who've been watching me for a while know that I do music production now and then. I've done it, I've talked about this, I've done it in the 90s. I had a little home studio. I've played guitar by some definition for a really long time, bass, and I can kind of play drums and kind of play keyboard. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I can fake it kind of. And then I produce the music for my videos, and I just use GarageBand for that. That's easy. You just drag loops in and you play around. You really play producer, not musician, if you use GarageBand that way. And I started thinking, you know, maybe I'll get some kind of cheesy little synthesizer thing, and maybe use that and actually produce some music for my videos with that. That might be fun. And what should I do? So I think I just started looking on YouTube a couple of months ago, maybe longer than that. I think I've been through a few cycles of this. And this more recent time, I guess, I tripped over modular synthesizers. And I'd say this is pretty arcane stuff. I don't know how many people even know what one is. I really hadn't thought of it using that name. If you hear the name Moog, spelled M-O-O-G, that's like the classic modular synthesizer. I just knew of it as Moog, and Yes, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and those guys all used Moogs in the 70s, 80s, whenever, and electronic music uses that stuff a lot. So anyway, it turns out that Moog makes a lot of modular synthesizer parts, and that's kind of the classic style of modular synthesizer. Something like 10 years ago, I may have that timing wrong a little bit, a German company called Doepfer came up with another format for modules called Eurorack, and it's a smaller format. So that has taken off like crazy amongst electronic musicians, or at least a class of electronic musician. And I started watching YouTube's videos about this stuff, and my mind was just blown. I'd say in 50% of the videos, you actually see somebody play a keyboard or some kind of controller. Most of it is twiddling knobs. You know, they'll have set up a sequence, a musical sequence of some sort, and then they just twiddle knobs to twist it and bend it and fool with it, and that just really went right into my head. That's the way my brain is. I'm like, oh, that's what I want. I want one of those. So I got one. This is kind of half of it. Well, it's like 3/4 of it. This part here is in the shop being calibrated. So mine is sort of a beginner's setup. I'm just getting started. These are modules. This thing here is a module. That's a keyboard and sequencer type of thing for kind of producing the music, recording it in a sense, recording the notes you play and playing them back. And it has a few other features as well. And then up here, these things are all separate so-called modules, these little panels. These are all separate pieces. And what, really attracted me to this stuff is, believe it or not, all this crap. It looks like a telephone switchboard, but these modules don't do anything unless you hook them together. And that's how you hook them together. So if you think back to the old days of Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, you can imagine the giant synthesizer they have with all the cables hanging down. Yeah, that's what this is. It's just a lot smaller. So it's pretty fun stuff. And generally, each module does only one little bitty thing in the total job of making a sound. And that reminds me a little bit of, I'm a software developer. It reminds me a little bit of software development. You're kind of hooking together modules that do different things and making a system out of them. And this is hooking together modules that do different things to make sounds and hopefully music. This one right here, this black one, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. This it's called an ADSR. I'm not going to go into what exactly that is at the moment, but I just finished building that thing, so that's cool too. I've had a soldering kit that I got off of Massdrop for a while, and I didn't have any use for it. It was still in the box, as a matter of fact. And then I started getting this Eurorack modular stuff and realized there's a lot of do-it-yourself stuff. So I was like, maybe I should put that soldering iron to use. I hadn't soldered anything for 30 years, and I'm sure I did it quite poorly the last time I did it. So I studied up on that. I got a kit, and I built the thing. It took me about 6 hours, and it didn't go up in smoke when I plugged it in. But I also don't know if it actually works because the module that's more natural to plug into it to test it, it's gone right now, like I said, being calibrated. Anyway, so I've probably gone on about that way too long. I'm thinking if I get deeply into this and start doing anything of value, I'll probably start a different channel to do that stuff, because it's so different than photography, and occasionally other gear stuff leaks into my channel, but maybe I'd push that off to the side. I'll announce that here if I do it. And those of you that have been asking me to talk about music and so forth, well, maybe go over there. And maybe someday I'll hook up a guitar and you'll see me fail at that. People have asked me so many times, what's in all those guitar cases over there? Over there. It's embarrassing what's in those guitar cases. So anyway, like I said, maybe a side channel at some point. So that's what's been going on. Sorry for the long vlog, and stay tuned. I do have video to produce. I've got video that needs to be edited from other shoots that I just haven't gotten around to. I've got this, where's the box? The box is gone. The headphone amp. Sorry, hi-fi guys. It is coming. It's coming. They've got my notes. We're good to go. I just got to produce the video. Anyway, I owe that. I owe photography videos to others, and I'll be getting on it. So catch you later. I'm out.